Most people see M&Ms as simple candy, colorful, sweet, and easy to enjoy. But behind those tiny chocolate pieces is a surprising story shaped by war, clever observation, and practical problem solving. What began as a solution for soldiers eventually became one of the most recognizable treats in the world. Today, we're unwrapping the fascinating story of how one of the world's favorite candies started as a military innovation. The military history of M&Ms right here on History of Simple Things. Long before M&Ms existed, chocolate was already a valued part of military rations. Soldiers needed food that was compact, filling, and capable of delivering quick energy. Chocolate fit those requirements perfectly because it packed a large number of calories into a small space. It was easy to carry, easy to eat, and gave tired soldiers a quick boost during long marches or exhausting missions. But chocolate had one serious weakness: it melted. As the world moved toward World War II, military planners began facing logistical challenges that many civilians never considered. Chocolate bars worked well in cooler climates, but in hotter regions like deserts or tropical jungles, they quickly became sticky, shapeless messes. Soldiers would open their rations only to find melted chocolate coating the inside of wrappers and staining nearby supplies. This wasn't just unpleasant, it created practical problems. Melted chocolate stuck to uniforms, tools, and equipment. Sticky fingers made it harder to handle weapons or delicate instruments. In extreme heat, entire shipments of chocolate could become useless before reaching the front lines. For armies operating across continents, reliability mattered more than luxury, and unreliable food created unnecessary complications. Military planners needed chocolate that could survive heat without turning into a sticky disaster. What they needed wasn't sweeter chocolate, it was stronger chocolate, and the solution came from an unexpected place. The turning point began with Forrest Mars Sr., the son of Frank Mars, founder of the Mars Company. Forrest Mars grew up around candy making, but he wasn't content to simply follow existing traditions. He paid attention to everyday details, especially how people used food in difficult situations. During the late 1930s, Mars traveled through Europe at a time when tensions were rising and conflicts were already breaking out. While observing soldiers during the Spanish Civil War, he noticed something unusual. Soldiers were eating small chocolate pellets coated in a thin sugar shell. At first glance, the candy seemed ordinary. But when Mars paid closer attention, he realized that these coated pieces didn't melt easily. The sugar shell protected the chocolate inside, allowing soldiers to carry the candy in their pockets without creating sticky messes. Even in warm conditions, the chocolate stayed intact long enough to be practical. That moment of observation sparked an idea that would change candy history. Mars realized that if chocolate could be coated with sugar, it could survive harsh environments. And if it could survive harsh environments, it could become incredibly useful to military forces. Instead of seeing a snack, he saw a solution waiting to be developed. Turning that idea into reality required cooperation and resources. Chocolate production during wartime depended heavily on supply chains, and ingredients were not always easy to secure. To make his coated chocolate concept work, Forrest Mars needed reliable access to chocolate. That challenge led him to partner with Bruce Murray, whose father William F.R. Murray held leadership roles at the Hershey Chocolate Company. Through this partnership, Mars gained access to chocolate supplies that made large-scale production possible. The candy's name reflected this collaboration. The two letters M represented Mars and Murray, forming the now famous name M&M's. Production began in 1941, the same year the United States entered World War II. That timing placed the candy directly into one of the largest military supply operations in history. And soon, M&M's began traveling far beyond factory walls. Once production started, the military quickly adopted M&M's as part of soldier rations. Wartime logistics demanded food that was lightweight, durable, and capable of surviving long transport times. Supplies had to endure heat, humidity, and rough handling during shipping across oceans and deserts. M&M's proved themselves quickly. Their sugar shell prevented melting, allowing them to remain edible even in hot climates like North Africa and the Pacific Islands. Soldiers could carry them in their packs without worrying about sticky residue damaging other supplies. The candy also remained intact longer than traditional chocolate bars, making it easier to store and distribute. More importantly, M&M's provided more than calories. They provided comfort. War placed enormous physical and emotional stress on soldiers. Living far from home, facing danger daily, and surviving harsh conditions took a heavy toll. In such environments, small pleasures mattered. Receiving a sweet treat that reminded them of normal life could lift spirits in ways that simple nutrition never could. Sharing candy became a quiet ritual among soldiers. A handful passed from one person to another created moments of connection during uncertain times. It reminded them that life outside the battlefield still existed. Today, when we see M&M's, we rarely think about the challenges that led to their creation. We see bright packaging, cheerful colors, and familiar treats meant for enjoyment. But behind that simplicity lies a story shaped by necessity and creativity. M&M's were created to solve a real wartime problem: how to provide chocolate that wouldn't melt under harsh conditions. That challenge led to innovation, partnerships, and large-scale production during one of the most difficult periods in modern history. Thank you for joining us on this journey through the history of simple things. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and stay tuned for more stories woven through the smallest details.